Good morning, and good morning again from my end, of course, and happy to see you all here in another theater. I'm happy that it's a little bit smaller, makes me feel a little bit more comfortable, of course. And I'm here today to talk to you about Betty Blocks today, tomorrow, and beyond. But before we start, it's always fun to take a look back, one step back, and then first go back in history so we can back to the future, can go back to the future again, of course. We started our company, my brother and me, so that's me, that's my brother over there, in 2002. But to be honest, I didn't look like that in 2002. I looked a little bit more like this. This is me again. Look at the style, clothing style. I had a bad day, I guess. My brother was wearing a tie. Haven't seen him doing that ever since. And the other two are my mother and my father, of course. It's always fun to make it a little bit personal because we are a company, as I tried to talk a little bit about that in the previous presentation as well. We are a company made out of humans who built a platform who can be used by humans for humans again. So I tried to make it as human as possible. We even started earlier because I'm 39 right now, and we, for some reason, founded our company in '98 on the 1st of January. That's probably not correct at the Chamber of Commerce in the Netherlands, but I was still at school. So it may be interesting to take a look back what we were doing back then while I was still at school. This is the fun thing of the internet. Stuff never disappears. So this is the first commercial website that I ever built in 1999. You can see to the left top, and it's still available online. So if you go to the Wayback Machine, the archive, and search for this URL, it's still there. And I looked it up earlier this week. I was kind of proud. Oh, it's not that bad. The fun fact about this website is that I didn't know how to script back then. There was no code platform, and there were 1,000 toilets and 1,000 pumps available. So I needed to make 1,000 HTML pages. And I was listening to Jamiroquai's album "Traveling Without Music," and I probably heard that album 1,000 times as well. So we started doing custom software development. And I'm showing a lot of old pictures right now. In the middle, that's me at a conference, at a Ruby conference. I noticed that Frank Oxener, who organizes this event, is in the room even. Hi, Frank. I was discussing this slide with Paul to the right, who still works with us. So Paul has been with our company more than 15 years. So Paul, stand up, because you're there. It's an actual person. More about Paul later on. And to the left is Giel, and he still works with us as well. So people regard us as a young, new company, but we have a lot of history. So we didn't start building a no-code platform to start with. We just still start building custom software development first. And Giel is currently in Barcelona right now because he is there servicing a client of ours, the European Federation of Urologists. It doesn't sound that big, but it's an event where they have 12,000 people attending, and they all sign up and register via a Betty Blocks application. So he's there to make sure that everything runs smoothly, and from what I've heard, everything is running smoothly. So that's a good thing as well. So when we started building Betty Blocks, the Betty Blocks company didn't even exist. So this is the first version of Betty Blocks, how the end result looked like. And as you might notice, this is a Windows application. It's not even a mobile or a web-based application. There is even a video how you could build an application. We still have it. It's still online. I can send it to you, but fortunately it didn't make my slide over here. But what you see back in the day, so this was even before 2012 when we started Betty Blocks. What happened is that my brother and I, we ran the company. I was the developer with the other guys, and Tim made sure that all the operation ran smoothly. And what he needed and what he wanted was good software that we could use ourselves to track time, to send invoices and whatever, everything a decent agency needs. And this is before 2012, though there wasn't that much standard software that worked. So what we did is we built our software ourselves. But the problem what he had is that he needed to ask the other guys, including me, to change that software. And that didn't work, because you know how it goes. Tim asked us, a client asked us as well, and who won? The client won. So our software was always a little bit messy. So what we tried to do is to create a tool where he could do a lot of stuff himself. So in a way, Tim is the citizen developer avant la lettre. And so we moved from that Windows application into the platform that we're offering right now, that some of you might know, and otherwise hopefully you will find out in the near future. But what I'm trying to say is that citizen development has always been part of our DNA. As Jeffrey Hammond already stated, it's not a new thing. Low-code platform, rapid application development, it is not a new thing. When we were building that first tool, it was built in Borland Delphi. That was actually called in the 90s a rapid application development platform, and we really liked it. So in a way that inspired us to build Betty Blocks as well. So citizen development is not a new thing, but as we already discussed, it is something that is happening more and more, and is becoming more and more a space of its own. And so we started Betty Blocks. And the fun fact is that that first company that we founded in 1998, as you noticed in the Chamber of Commerce letter, was called Holder. And recently, Betty Blocks acquired his own mother, or her own mother, because it's Betty. And then the circle was whole again. Coming back to today, March 14th, a no-code festival. You might have heard it's all about citizen development and that it's on the rise. But what proves that it's on the rise? On one end, what you see is that we have a lot of inbound leads, of course, coming in. And most of the time, in the previous days, people were looking for low-code platforms, rapid application development platforms. But what we see happening actually right now is that we see leads coming in from big corporations, smaller ones as well, who are actively looking for literally a citizen development platform. The first moment that happened, we were really happy because we said, oh, we thought it was more or less our thing. Of course, other people are doing it as well. And it started with a big Belgian company, with a Swedish company, with a US company. So this is something that's not happening in the Netherlands, it's happening all over in the world. Another nice sign that we see, and I always joke about this a little bit, is that each time we put out a new citizen development paper and we publish it online, the first 25 downloads are from the entire low-code space. So everybody in the low-code space is reading all our content, and the fun fact, of course, and I'm telling this because I'm proud, I'm going to be honest, you see that content recycled in a couple of weeks after we publish it in a different way. But what I'm trying to say again is that this subject is becoming more and more important. But it's not a simple world, it is a strange world as we stated, and certainly not perfect. So with citizen development we see two main problems. One of them is more geared towards IT, and one is more an organizational problem. So what's the IT problem? There are several. When everybody is building applications, how do you make sure that you're not building that shadow IT or rogue IT again? So what's that? There's somebody outside the view of an IT department building an application based on Excel, Access, maybe using external agency that they don't know of. And with that, it's a piece of software that might be insecure. Nobody knows that it's running, and that's a threat to the company, of course. And how are we going to make sure that we allow citizen development to start doing that work? And that's a big problem as well. I always use the example, so if you have a company with 30 people, and all of those 30 people start doing citizen development work, how are in the world are you going to operate your company in a normal way? Because everybody is focused on building software to make the organization better, but who is selling your goods or whatever? So you need to control that and make sure that you fix that as well, at least from an IT point of view. And of course, there's the simple fact of servicing all those citizen developers. They have far different questions than a regular developer, so you need to fix that in a different way. This is something that we're not made up ourselves. This came from all the conferences where we are as well. So we are at Forrester conferences where we talk to CIOs and to our strategic IT people, and we tell them our citizen development story, and they say, great story, but bullets above. So we did a lot of research on that as well, and we recognized that it was an important problem. And the organizational part of that is that how can we check what they are building and that they are building? So who's allowed to build an application from an organizational point of view? Is it just, okay, provide it to everybody and then say you're good to go, do something, well, let us know when you're ready? That doesn't work. That might work when you are a company of 3, but it doesn't work when you have a company of 15 even, because you're already too big. And especially if you are EY, if you are the biggest company in the world, whatever. These problems only get bigger. And the third part, of course, how do you keep track of success or failure? Because you want to make sure that it is an actual success. Is it the person building the application, is that success on its own? Is it building the app successfully success? No, at the end, the actual success is making your company innovating, more innovative, fixing process problems somewhere, and that's what you should track as well. And the most simple part is, where do they go to when they have a question, or where do they go to start with? I was at a great company called Plurijn here in the Netherlands. They had a client event, and I was doing a talk over there. And as I always do, I try to ask questions to the crowd. And one of the questions was, who knows of a problem in the current process where they're working with? So they were all business managers, and there were 30 people in the room. Everybody raised their hands. Okay. Who wants to fix that problem? Everybody raise their hands again. Okay, who thinks that you need software to fix that? All hands again. Okay, who wants to build that software? Check in the box again. And then the question was, who actually built that piece of software or made it happen? No hands at all. So I asked to the specific person, why didn't you build that application, or how did you cope with that? How did you try to solve that? And the simple answer was, and I was a little bit amazed with that, I have no clue where to start. And that was the same answer to everybody. Nobody knows where to start. And it's the same for every company. So the most simplest problem we see in citizen development is that people don't know where to start. What we did inside that company, and it was a fault of our own, we trained a bunch of people in citizen development. So they knew how to build an application. But the next part, again our fault, is that they didn't know what to build. So you need to arrange this the right way around as well. So what we're trying to say, we are more than a platform, or at least more than a development environment. This is a little bit old-fashioned word nowadays, the integrated development environment, but we try to use it. So this is the part where you build the actual application. If you look in the middle, that's what we're doing right now. These are the very famous white papers that I was talking about, and we have some frameworks as well. So we already provide our clients as much as possible with information on how to solve these problems. But that's just information, and that's not enough. So that's the reason why, if we look at the future, we want to broaden our view, broaden our platform, and make sure that we can help our clients by tackling those problems with something that we call our Citizen Developer Control Center. And this is a fun slide. I just put it in, so don't be scared. I took some time to work. So what this is a marketecture diagram, and to be honest, I didn't know what it was until a month ago. We are in the middle of a research process with Forrester and with their colleagues as well. And one of the questions was, can you provide a marketecture diagram? And the only fair thing to say is, I had no clue what it was. So last year, I just ignored the question. I said, I'll just provide information and hopefully that will help. So this year, with some help from Forrester, I looked it up and found out what it was. So I thought it's fun to include it. So what this actually is a marketing version of our platform architecture. But let me zoom in a little bit. So we start with something that is nowadays a multi-cloud offering. So you can run Betty blocks on every cloud that you like. Right now, we're working towards that Microsoft Azure is our default offering. So if you start an application today, it will run on Azure. But if you like, you can run it on AWS and Google Cloud. Of course, there are some costs involved, but you can run it whatever you like. So that's the core of our platform. And on top of that, it's the runtime. That means that our platform runs there. If you build an app, that's where it runs. You don't need to think about that because it just works. Third tier is the development environment, and the fourth and fifth are health and collaboration. They're already there. So what we're here for today is the outer ring, and that is that Citizen Control Center. There are some user roles involved, or some personas. We talked about it in the panel as well. We think that it's very important and it helps our clients to differentiate between the different roles, because one developer is not the other. So the first one is the one that we talked a lot about, and it's important to state that the citizen developer is not the same as citizen development. So citizen development is the trends and the policy and the vision that we have, but this is a person or a persona. So this is somebody who works at the business end and thinks, okay, I can build this app, or I want to build this app. So we talked a lot about that. But that person is maybe a salesperson working at a sales department, and he needs to do sales stuff. So once that application is finished or is kickstarted and if the development is started, he needs to do his sales stuff as well, because that's where they hired him for. So it's really difficult to be a citizen developer your entire life. You progress to what we call a no-code developer. And that's what was mentioned in the panel as well. You see a lot of people moving from maybe being a business person, learning how to build an application as a citizen developer, and then move to the no-code developer. But because a no-code developer, his full-time occupation is building applications. But why is it different than an experienced developer? That no-code developer probably doesn't know how to code, doesn't need to learn that. Maybe learned a little bit HTML, a little bit JavaScript or whatever, so he can build great apps. And the third one is the experienced one, and that's the person building the tough integrations, as Kay stated in the panel, making sure that you connect with proprietary systems and well, do the hard stuff. But that is all geared towards the other two. And the fourth one is the one we're introducing today, and that is the citizen development coach. So that whole process in fixing the problems that I just mentioned, that is done by that citizen development coach. It's facilitating that process. I like to compare it a little bit to an agile coach that lots of you might already know. So an agile coach is there to make sure that an organization adapts agile ways of work. It coaches Scrum Masters and others, and you can compare it. You can compare it with a citizen development coach as well. So if you want to implement citizen development inside your organization, or as a partner, as an agency, you want to help your clients with that. That's something that you can offer. A coach who helps organizations or your own organization to implement that. So if you have a citizen developer who doesn't know where to start, they know where to go to, and you can guide that entire process. And that's where we are building this new feature for as well, the control center. It has 3 parts: a front desk, a dashboard, and of course the IT governance part, which is very important. Starting with the front desk. The audience of that and the user base of that front desk is the entire organization. It's a portal or whatever. Every client can use it, and you can brand it in your own. Looking from a Betty Blocks point of view, you can brand it as your own. It's very easy to use. And internally, you can refer to that maybe in your internal intranet or whatever you have. And then we can help promote the whole concept. It explains the ideas behind it and how a process looks like. And at the end, a citizen developer can submit their ideas over there. So at the end, and it's a little bit a simple comparison, but in the end, it's the idea box that most of the companies might have, but then on steroids somewhere. The dashboard is for the developer, citizen developer, and the development coach. You can track which ideas are submitted. You can vet the ideas, because not every idea that is being submitted will actually see light. As a coach, you can track progress, and very important as well, as an organization, you can see the activity of an organization in the control center. Because citizen development is something that is a continuous process, but you want to prove to the organization that people actually are working with that as well. And the last part is the governance part, and that is geared towards the experienced IT. Because as we state, citizen development without governance just creates shadow IT or rogue IT. So on one end, what we already offer is our blog store or app store. And with that, you have a controlled app store of yourself. So if you are an organization, you have your internal app store, and experienced IT guys or those no-code developers can prepare blocks, make them readily available in that blog store, and all of the components are branded. There's a great client whom we cannot use the logo, but we can mention the name because it's Red Bull. Red Bull is one of the bigger brands. They have an excellent F1 driver, of course, that we know in the Netherlands. But they are, most of all, not an energy drink, but a brand. So what they do and what they've done with our platform over there is make all the UI components in the Red Bull brand, and that the no-code and citizen developers are able to build an application in the right branding. And they don't need to think of if the branding is okay and whatever. And it goes for integrations as well. In that case, it was an integration with Salesforce, because it's a giant sales organization, and they wanted to know in an app somewhere where all the refrigerators are. That is a big thing inside the company, I noticed. So what they could see in a simple app, they integrated with a system which tracked the locations of that refrigerators, and that integration was made available by Experienced IT. So once they made that available, all the other citizen developers are able to use that if the governance guys are okay with that. And the last one, of course, is the go live. That's an important topic as well, because you want to make sure that at the end that application is secure, audited, checked for purpose, checked for everything, and then it's pushed out in the open, that nothing ugly, nothing insecure can see daylight. So at the end, that's why we call our internal news strategy more than a platform, or at least more than a development environment. If we look at that integrated development environment, we see three personas, because the other fourth one is not something we have. So the one to the left top is our citizen developer. This is my colleague Lisanne. She's not in the room, but she has been with us for 5 years, and she is a marketing manager. So what she's been doing for 5 years, no training at all, building Betty Blocks apps to track attendees in an event, to track content, to plan content, whatever. She built it all herself without any problem. That is a typical citizen developer. She had all the help from the no-code developer, and this is how no-code developers look, of course. They have a beard, and they're the hipsters. So I had a lot of help, because within Betty Blocks there are, of course, a lot of no-code developers. And the third one is Experienced IT. I regard myself as Experienced IT as well. So this is the way I look at myself. The hair is getting less, I'm not getting gray, and it's really hard for me to get a beard, so maybe I need to find a new picture. So at this example, that no-code developer might work at the business end, because that's a different topic as well. So where does that person work? Does he work at the business end, or does he work at the IT end? So in this example, it's at business, but can be at IT as well. It is just something that as an organization, you might want to figure out how that will work. And it might be very important to place the person in the business part, because it's very interesting. At a large telecom operator in the Netherlands, at that sales department that I mentioned, they just had one no-code developer of their own. The only thing that he did all day is improve all sales tooling all day. They were really happy with it, because they were self-sufficient, didn't need IT. IT said, it's okay, we know that platform, no problem, it's going to be secure. And that's how they fixed it. So there are very different ways to tackle that problem. So looking at that development environment, what are our focus points? So looking at it from the persona of Lisanne, the citizen developer, the main thing is visual modeling. Kees talked about it as well. You want to make sure that it's very easy to use and that it's not coding. So that means making everything as visual as you can. The second thing is very important, that is making everything UI-centric. If you're building an application, everybody nowadays knows that you do that most of the time in a Scrum or Agile way, in a rapid prototyping way. So what happens most of the time is that they start with a paper prototype, then a wireframe, then a throwaway POC, and then they start doing building. But wouldn't it help if you just start building an application from scratch in a platform like ours? If you just build that clickable prototype in a platform like ours, that really would help. And that's why we are putting at all times the building of the user interface first. So that will be the center of everything, and all of the stuff that we are developing will surround all of that. And that really helps to speed up your development process. So that's one of the focus points. And the third part is, for the citizen development, very important, of course, is abstracting away as much as technology as possible. It should be about the end result, about the features that you're developing, not about technology. And we're not there yet. So we have a BAC by 2023. To be honest, sometimes I think, well, that is too much time. Maybe we should shorten it. But we are trying to make our platform that user-friendly that you don't need any training. And we have some stuff to do yet. So this is actual screenshots from our platform right now. This is going to be fixed in a new release. We still use get and HTML content type and whatever. Nobody really understands, if you're a citizen developer, what it is. You just have a page and you just want to build it. So we're abstracting that as much away as possible. And we want to make it as dummy-proof as possible. And also to make it as simple as possible. So this is maybe position something on a canvas somewhere. You just have the option to do small, medium, large, and extra light. Those no-code developers and experienced developers are providing you with a theme where you don't need to think about that. You just pick and choose from a list that somebody made for you. If you talk about our hipster developer, the most important topic for him or her is speeding up development. That's where low code started. And I still remember the day where us and the other competitors had a number on our front page. We are 6 times faster than traditional development. Others were 8, we were 10, they were 12, and some were 4. At the end, nobody knew. It wasn't exact research, to be honest. Well, we had 2 reference cases, and that's why we used it. But what we find out is that it's not only about that speeding up, it's about having a different approach as well. And that's important for that no-code developer. And if you look at technology, we abstract it away for that citizen developer, but it's still available if you need it. So we're not completely putting it away that you can't access it anymore, because that's annoying, because you know where this technology is all about as a no-code developer, and you're learning more and more. So it's still available, but then maybe behind a click somewhere. And if a citizen developer starts with the UI approach, a no-code developer might be a little bit more experienced, and he or she knows how to model a data model and start with that. So we want to facilitate that as well. If you look at what they both need, a very important part is what we're focusing on our platform is what we call non-destructiveness. Everybody knows how it goes if you're a developer or not. You try something and it didn't work. So what would you like to do? And that is Command Z for the Mac guys, Control Z for the Windows people, and that is undo. And that's the main principle that we have behind everything. So if you delete the data model in our platform, your complete app is gone. But you should always be able to undo that. And that is a very important and strong principle that we are using. Collaboration, as is mentioned before today as well, is very important, especially for the both of them. They need to work together. And maybe work together in the same application at the same time. Everybody knows Google Documents. You have a document open, and you're on the other side of the world. You have the same document open, and you can just join type together, and you can see what the other guy is doing. So that's something that we're working on and releasing pretty soon. You open up a UI page, you have a blank page open, somebody on the other side of the world drags a component on there, and you see it automatically. That means that you can work together. We're starting with the UI, but that will be implemented into the entire application, entire platform, so that you can use it at all moments. And that will really speed up collaboration. And what the no-code developer and citizen developer need together, of course, is that the creation of those reusable blocks, as we call them. That might be a micro app as well. So it's not only a UI component somewhere, but it might be a small CRM app that you make available. So if you're a large insurer, you might have like 4 different propositions, and you know you don't need 5. You might need 5 different CRMs. You just build one. You copy it into the store, and then the other departments can make use of it, and then change it to their liking a little bit as well. Yeah. Talking about George Clooney, this is very important to state. We are geared towards citizen developers, but there's one thing that I always stress, and our goal is not to alienate experienced developers. And that is the big problem with no-code platform. We are called no-code. If you are a coder, that is really scary, because you're all about coding, and you're not allowed to do coding anymore. So what's our solution to that? Because we want to make sure that that experienced guy is still helping that first citizen developer. So we are called a no-code platform with an escape hatch. And we have several escape hatches, and just to name 3. The first one is geared towards the UI. If you're building an application somewhere and you need a specific component, we don't offer it, you need to build it yourself. And that's possible. Take some HTML, some JavaScript, some CSS, and you can just insert it in one specific component and you're good to go. Later on you can make it reusable and whatever. So there are lots of options in there. The most extreme version of that is that you use our backend, our action logic and data logic, and you just build the entire HTML page yourself. Some of them do, some of our clients do that. We're okay with it. We'll always continue to support that as well. That's a big escape hatch. You can build custom services and data integrations. And the last one is building extensions at the back end. We don't allow any form of C#, Java, or whatever coding inside our platform because we think it hurts your application. But we know that there are still moments where you need a little bit of custom code. You need to manipulate 1,000 or 1,000,000 records, and that takes time, so you need to optimize that with code. We're fine. just use Microsoft Azure Functions, or maybe use AWS Lambda, and we integrate really good with them. So you put your code, and you can just pick and choose which language you want to use, and just put it on that function platform, and then you're good to go, and it integrates with BettyBlocks. And we think that's the best option for coding. But then again, at the end, we build for you. We sometimes try to use the phrase that we think Henry Ford said, if we ask our clients what they needed, they would have asked for faster horses. And if we did it at the beginning, we would never have built a no-code platform. But right now, we build it for you. So it's very important to let us know what you think. So this is our vision. We've put it out there. Let us know what you think, what you need. As a developer, as a business person, as an IT manager, we would really like to know. So Jelmer is walking around as well. It's a little bit hard to recognize the face, but otherwise you can look him up online or just drop me a message. And Bas is here as well. He's in charge of our development team. Thank you for now. I probably have some time for questions, Mara, if there are any. Over here. Let me, saves me the throwing.
Hi, I'm Mark. I'm with the central government, and we have a slight problem with US cloud providers. Is there any European cloud provider in your future?
The question, of course, is define US cloud provider, because all of the US...
You said Google, Microsoft, AWS, that's no, no, and no.
Yeah, so let me explain that in two versions. So the first one is that a lot of our clients like to have their application on Dutch soil. So Microsoft has a little bit more up north, a lot of big data centers, so they can ensure us, and others can as well, that everything will be on Dutch soil. But if the problem is that the organization is US, I guess that's the problem. Mm-hmm. One of our clients is the Dutch National Police, and we don't offer multi-cloud. We also offer on-premise as well, only for specific situations. Mm-hmm. And what we have done over there is install our entire cloud on a secret data location somewhere that we don't know of. It's actually called secret or geheim in Dutch. So we just hand them over our software, and then we say, here's the manual. And of course we train them, and now it's up and running. So that's probably something that you need.
Thanks.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, this is the fun part. If I don't, it's over there, so please help me if I don't get it. And catch it. Oh, so close.
Right. I have a question relating to the reusable blocks you just mentioned. Is it correct that some of the features you just mentioned will become available at the future months? Because, for example, every app needs a web user model, needs a function to reset your password, maybe two-factor authentication. And what I really want, I'm looking for is an option to bundle those functions within a block and then reuse that in another app. Can you explain when it will become available?
Yeah, sure. And what you're looking for is what we call a micro app. So that's a combination of different features. So it's not only a component, it's some backend stuff, some data models.
Exactly.
We are already working on that. And I can give you an exact date, but something we think...
it's on the roadmap.
Yeah, it's on the roadmap, and
I
would expect it within... Let's make it a long period, within 6 months from now.
Okay, I'm happy to hear that it will become
and
available
otherwise,
in the
just
future.
hook me up after the conference, and I can show you where we are right now.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Maybe a final question, if there is any? Okay. Well, I want to thank you for attending this presentation, and be sure to look out for the next one who's going to start in a couple of minutes. Thank you.